Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this June 6th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. And here in just a bit, we're going to have the Loveland Saferide guys with us. You're not going to want to miss this part of the show. You're going to enjoy it. And also, this is the 80th anniversary of D-Day. So, hey, how are you, man?
You were alive for that, right? 80th anniversary of D-Day?
Yeah.
What were you about, middle school?
I was going to say something rude, but I decided to stay on the high
You'll
road.
never be able to get me with age, because I'm always going to be younger than you.
That's right. No, yeah, you were talking earlier about a car, that 79 Blazer. It's like 79 was a good year.
That was the year I was born.
That was the year I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
So,
So, well, those cars back then, they're just built different.
yeah.
Heavy, you know what I mean? Like you
Right.
could smack anything and you didn't have to worry about much.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you get into a wreck in one of these little.
I know. It's just so.
No.
Well, I mean, I don't know because I don't own a vehicle like that. Just
No, me neither.
Yeah. I can't afford it.
I don't live the fancy life.
Yeah.
Don't really care either. It's first Friday. We made it almost through the week.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm leaving tomorrow morning, so I don't.
That's
I won't
right.
Be here tomorrow.
Your son's graduation is this weekend?
It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
They do Friday night graduation. It's weird. I don't.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know.
Where are they having that at?
At the high school in Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, each student only gets 6 tickets. That's crazy. Like, that's like if you have a couple siblings and 2 parents, there's 4 of them gone.
Yeah.
What does only one set of grandparents get to come?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta have a little bare knuckle fight in the backyard to see who gets.
Well, and that's not unusual. I mean, like in college graduations and all of that, they just there's just
they have to.
limited capacity. Yeah.
Well, what they do at Dallas though is the stands.
Yeah.
So they'll do like seating is the ticketed part, but I think it's at the football stadium. So there's standing room where you don't have to have a ticket.
Oh, okay.
So like you won't not get to go, but you won't get to sit.
Yeah, but can you imagine standing for 2 hours?
I mean, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
That's why I've slowed down on pictures, because my foot's been screwed up.
Yeah.
Because there's days where I've done like 3 or 4 games, stood for 12 hours straight just taking pictures, and it kills you. I need one of those little chairs, like for photographers, but made for a fat dude, like a extra size one, because there ain't no way I could sit on one of them. It would look like I was just like.
I want to see that picture.
Yeah, it would not be pretty.
There's
like
probably something like that online.
Stools, I need the fold out camping chairs.
Yeah.
Like I got to get the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Like I don't fit in these regular people size things.
Yeah. Well, I sympathize with that. I do.
It's life.
Yeah.
It's part of it. Even if I lost more weight, which I have lost some weight, I would still have to use big stuff. I'm just big. Like,
yeah.
I'll never get just.
When was the last time you were like on an airplane in one of those narrow seats or anything? Has it been a while?
It's been probably about 8 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like flying, so I.
Oh, that's
I
right.
drive whenever
That's
I have
right.
to.
It's off the ground.
The last time I flew, though, I flew first class, just so I had plenty of room. Paid the extra money. Like I was like, no, I'm not gonna be crammed between some, smelly old person and somebody talking my ear off.
Yeah, I resent
and then have to sit like this, like because my shoulders are so wide.
Yeah.
No, I ain't doing that. Nope.
Kevin Loveland, Cody Bowen, and Jerry Hopkins, glad you guys are with us today. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, thank you. But your real name is Beeve. Is that what you said? Yeah.
That's correct.
Now, where did that name come from, Jerry?
Jerry Mathers, like Leave It to Beaver.
Oh, okay.
He's had that name since he was a very, very small boy, and it's just stuck with him. That's the way he is in my phone. I don't even have Jerry in my phone.
When I was younger, I didn't even know what his name was.
Right.
Like, I didn't know his real name.
I answer to a lot of names.
That's right. Especially if dinner is associated with it, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, cool. Glad to have you guys all here. And you've not all 3 have been on the stage at the same time?
No.
No,
And
it's the first.
Yeah.
Cody and Kevin have been on
right.
before together.
Yeah. But no, glad you guys are here. And what a great program that you started, Kevin. And I know that you shared that story about that coming out of a tragedy in your own life and wanting to have an alternative for you lost a good friend.
Yes.
To a drunk driving incident up in Montana, and out of that you decided that you wanted to do something active to make this better.
Yes.
And then this weekend is Eastern Oregon Livestock Show. Next weekend is the Bear Fest, okay, and then Elgin Stampede.
The second full weekend in July.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then Chief Joseph Days, and yeah, I mean, did I miss any? I mean, so and pretty much, I mean, any drinking event, for lack of a better term, where there might be a risk of drunk drivers, people who are inebriated and get in front of the wheel, then you guys are actively the 4th of July. I'm sure you guys will be involved in that, and then certainly the New Year's Eve.
Oh, yeah.
Celebrations and stuff. So yeah.
That's Jerry's biggest night, New Year's Eve, I think.
Yeah. No. So well, I don't know, man. Where to even start? So Jerry, why don't you give us a little bit of a feel for how has this progressed in your life? I mean, you kind of Kevin started it, but somewhere along the line he kind of scooped you in, and the way it went. Yeah.
You know, I used to have a drinking problem. You know, I'm clean and sober for 23 years now.
Yeah.
23 years.
Yeah.
You know, I do it because I don't want people to go through the same things that happened to me in life.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's an amazing program. You know, we've hauled over 200,000 people in these 20 some odd years.
Wow.
It's, you know, a lot of great memories, a lot of good stories. But, you know, we want to keep our community safe.
Yeah.
You know, the support we get from the community, from you guys, the Sheriff's Department, State Police, LaGrande Police Department, it's amazing. You know, I can't walk into some place this week and, are you going to be driving, Jerry? Are you going to be driving? It's, you know, I look forward to it.
Yeah.
You know, my number one goal is there better not be a DUI this weekend.
Yeah.
I got 3 drivers tonight, 5 on Friday and 5 on Saturday.
Wow.
It's, you know, we're looking for, you know, nice warm weather. It's going to be a good turnout.
Yeah. And so then let's go back a little bit, and when did Kevin involve you, and then at some point along the line he kind of handed this primarily over to you? Yeah.
Was that in 99 or 2000?
2000.
2000, you know.
2000 I did the first year, and then
He, you know, he held a lot of people, and, you know, of course with Kevin, you know, there's not a microphone or a person that he wants to stay and talk to for 20 minutes, and you know, we got to get, you know, we're like the fire department. When someone calls, we want to get them home.
Yeah.
And so I kind of said, Kevin, I want to, you know, help out with this program, and, you know, here we are 20 some odd years later, and, you know, we're doing more events each year, from, you know, the rodeos to Rocky Mountain Elks Foundation, Ducks Unlimited, beer festivals.
Yeah.
It's such a great program. I'm proud to be part of it.
Now, do these events reach out to you, or do they?
I would
or just
prefer they reach out to
intuitively?
me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get, you know, a couple hours notice. Hey, Jerry, I forgot we're doing a driving event.
Yeah.
But
that he's talking about me.
He's talking about you. Okay.
I wasn't going to say a thing, but, you know, we get things together real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if Kevin says, oh, I forgot to tell you there's a driving event tonight, you know, I can call our local dealerships, Legacy Dodge, Legacy Ford, MJ Goss, other guys, and they'll donate a vehicle to us in a second. I mean, they're just great support for our community.
Wow.
That's awesome. What are you driving tonight?
You know, I haven't picked up a rig yet, but
You don't know yet?
Yeah, I don't know yet. It's, you know,
Hopefully it's like that
Yeah.
Wagoneer that we drove a couple of years ago was sweet, dude.
They're not old Subarus.
no,
they're not. Yeah,
they're not station wagons with paneling on them. I mean, the dealers take very good care of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and that's awesome. And your drivers are. I mean, the thing that's interesting about this, or that is attractive about this, is that everybody's so passionate about it. Your drivers are passionate. The dealer. I mean, because of how it ends up. I mean, what the cause is for. Yeah. I mean, do you have troubles recruiting drivers?
Oh boy, no, I don't. You know,
Yeah.
I've surrounded myself with a great crew.
Yeah.
That make me look good. You
Yeah.
know, it's And I got people all the time wanting to drive. You know, it's going to be a little interesting, you know, starting up in Wallowa County, but,
Right.
you know, I've already had people contact me, and we're going to have some drivers up there, and I'll be up there this year to, you know, train them the way we want it done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and so talk about that. So you Loveland Funeral Chapel recently purchased the funeral chapel up in Wallowa
Enterprise.
County.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
And so then, I mean, talk about that a little bit, and then how that, I presume that's kind of, I mean, you probably already were trying to get to Wallowa County, but that's kind of like, you got property there now, so.
Oh yeah, so my great-grandparents homesteaded there.
Oh.
And so for years and years and years, I've wanted to own that place, and it just had to be the right time. We would get a lot of phone calls from family members and friends of family members, but because of that funeral home being up there, I always tried to respect their business. And so we tried not to help that many families up there, but we kept getting phone calls, and then finally the opportunity came available, and we bought the funeral home business about a year ago. We're still working on the building, but there just has to be some repairs done.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing. The people in Wallowa County have been very, very wonderful to us and receptive, and very pleased that they now that obviously the funeral home didn't get sold and they weren't left without a funeral home.
Yeah.
And that's where I'll be headed right after this. We're up there a couple of days a week, and it's been great.
So then has that also encouraged the Loveland Saferide to expand up? I mean,
Yes.
connect those two things.
Yes, and so Jerry started last year during Mule Days up there,
Okay.
and that was a great success as far as getting public awareness. But we weren't that busy, and it's going to be just like how it happened in La Grande. I hauled a few people the first year, and then Jerry the next year hauled several, and then now, I mean, we're doing thousands every event, and it'll get busy up there, and it's probably going to be like careful what you wish for kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Because we'll be at Chief Joseph Days this year, and Jerry's already started having conversations with the people that are in charge of their transportation, and it's going to be big, and especially Chief Joseph Days. That's a giant rodeo.
Yeah. So do you think, and I'm trying to think, Jerry, this might be a question for you. Are there any events or in any things in Wallowa County, are there any things that's like, okay, that's going to be a little bit more off the hinge? Are there some events that are like a little more wilder than others, or I don't know, do you have any gauge for that? Or area, I mean, do they party a little harder in Wallowa County than we do here, or yeah?
Well, I can't really tell you. You know, we've only done a couple events, you know, but, you know, there's the lake. When there's events at the lake, you know, things do get a little wild. But it's what goes on in the rig stays in the rig, you know. Some of you that rode around with me.
Yeah. That is one thing I have to give Jerry credit for. Well, actually, two things. Most of all, when he came to me and asked me to take over the program, I had to beg him to let me pay him, and he wouldn't take money for years.
Yeah.
He wouldn't take anything, so I would go and try to drop something off at his house. Like one time I dropped off a bow, and I just told him I'm not going to take it back because Jerry is an archery hunter. And then one time I dropped off a gun case, and I just kept saying, Jerry, we are getting very, very positive publicity out of this, and it's okay for you to get paid. And he was like, nope, I owe this to our community, and I just want to do what's right. And he did that forever. Yeah. And finally, we've worked out an agreement because it's gotten so big, and his phone rings off the hook all night long for these events that
7 days a week.
that we finally work things out. But what I really want to give Jerry credit for is, and I'll give you an example. A really good bartender can sit down and have a conversation with anybody about anything, and that conversation stays there. And Jerry has always been good to respect the people, because he knows they get in the rig and they're drunk and they're just saying, whether it's a couple fighting, whether it's sorry for you hearing this, whether it's an underage kid that had been drinking,
yeah.
He gets them home safely. He doesn't talk about what happens in the rig, and because sometimes in our rig it's a party. I mean, we're not letting people drink or smoke or anything, but they get in and things are wild and crazy, and Jerry's got to wrestle people down, like, you guys got to put your seatbelts on, we got to be safe, and he just keeps it in the rig and he keeps it safe, and I mean, he's unbelievable. And the drivers that he has hired, hands down, are just class acts from every single one of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, and Kyle, you were on a ride along with Jerry, right?
Yeah, New Year's, not this New Year's, but the one before.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got to see a couple fight. I ain't going to say no names. But
No, don't mention names.
No names. I don't even know their names. It was very entertaining. You know?
Yeah.
And then ominous. I said, there's cameras in the car, because I put cameras in there. And I told the kid, I said, there's cameras in here. And he was like, oh, okay. And then I told him what I was doing it for. I was doing it to show during the Cody Bowen show, you know, the show with the sheriff. And he's like, no, I'm not being on camera.
Well, and we've seen taxi cab confessions or something like that, and you always kind of wonder, because people their inhibitions are like down, when they're inebriated. Yeah, and so then their courage, liquid courage, which is inappropriate courage sometimes. Yeah. So Cody, what would you say? I mean, what events are there times where you see it's like, okay, we're going to need more officers at that event. We're going to need more. I mean, what do you kind of see as people just party? I mean, they're more relaxed, and what are some of the things that you see in the county that it's just that this is really helpful from that standpoint?
Well, I'll tell you, it's definitely calmed down over the years.
Yeah.
This program has, no doubt in my mind, saved hundreds of lives. But as far as the events themselves, there used to be, just take Stock Show coming up, for instance, there used to be 2 or 3 bars downtown where people would, after the rodeo, already lit up, go down to the bar, and then they'd continue on, and it'd go into the night, and there'd be fights, there'd be, people driving, drinking, crashes, accidents. There's a lot of activity. Elgin Stampede the same way. It used to get real wild after the rodeos. Chief Joseph days. I mean, you couldn't go into a bar without getting stabbed or shot. But those days are gone. And a lot of that is contributed to people knowing that they have a safe place to go, they have a safe number to call, they can feel secure in the vehicle and know that they're, you can put your best friend in there, male, female, and they're going to get home safe.
Yeah.
Events for us, any event where we have a large population of folks, we try to have as many people as possible. But, something to think about on that, I could have, 1 or 2 deputies on at midnight, let's say between here and Union, and they pull somebody over and under suspicion of DUI, and that's a 2 or 3 hour incident from start to finish where that deputy's not out on the road, not out showing that presence or being involved in the community. And it takes a lot away. That one DUI driver is a tremendous effect on the whole group as a community. So not having those gives us more time to get out there in the public and just be around. Everybody, and I've said this before, but you see a police officer behave a little bit better.
Right. Absolutely.
Whether you're friends with them, whether you know them, whether you're not. A police officer pulls behind me, and I'm driving down the road in the middle of the day, and I'm okay. I'll mess with them, but it it just changes your attitude. It changes your tune. So it's I can't say enough positive things about this. People talk about giving back to your community and being a part of it, and I think part of them being up in Wallowa County, and I don't want to speak for Lovelands, but having a business in that community is not just having a business and taking people's money and providing a service. It's about being a part of that community and volunteering yourself and your services and giving your time and becoming an actual part of that community where they see their faces, they see their vehicles, and they recognize them more than just a funeral home. These are people that are part of the community, and they're saving lives, and they love this community and want to be a part of it. So same thing with us in law enforcement. All of my guys, well, not all of my guys, but the majority of them, including myself, we all started as volunteers. Giving back to this community some way, some form, is what this is about. And these 2 gentlemen's story catapult them into this giving back in a way that, man, I can't think of another program that saves lives like this one does.
Yeah.
Very proud to know these 2 gentlemen and to be a small part of the, herding people to Jerry's vehicle at night. Here you go. Here's a ride.
And I would like to say something on that note. A lot of people look at police officers and they just think that they are out to get me. Like, oh gosh, there's Cody, like,
Right.
like, oh my gosh, he's out to get me. And if you pay attention at the rodeo this weekend, that's exactly what he and his officers and even the state troopers do. They all have Jerry's phone number. Jerry is in open communication with them. And if they see somebody, and I've seen them do it, if they see somebody getting in their car, they walk right up to them. They don't wait for them to leave. They walk right up
Not
to
trying
them.
to trap them.
They walk right up to
Yeah.
them and they say, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Jerry is
Here's a
parked
phone
right.
number.
Jerry is parked right over there, and they encourage it. And if, as people are walking out of the dance, if they're headed towards the parking lot instead of headed towards our rigs, they're stopping them and they're asking them, "You're not driving, are you?"
Yeah.
And I really got to give you guys huge kudos, because everybody thinks that Cody and the sheriff's office and all these police officers are out to get them, and they are there for one reason.
Yeah.
To keep our community safe. And if people would change their mindset and just watch these guys this weekend, I think they'll have a very clear understanding that we're all there to have a great time. And trust me, I'm going to have a good time tonight. I'm going to take my safe ride home from Jerry, and because I'm going to have a few beers at the rodeo, and that's okay, at least in my book. But I'm taking that ride, and trust me, if I tried to get in my vehicle, Cody and I are great friends. He would pick me up, probably handcuff me, and put me in that vehicle himself. And he can do it. I've seen him in action one time. I went on a ride along. He's not just a pretty guy in a cowboy hat. He's kind of a bad dude. He really is. There was a guy about to hit a couple of teenage boys, and Cody took him down like that. It was kind of impressive.
It was fun.
You're my hero.
No, well, and there's so much that you guys just covered that I guess one of the things that, going back to what you said about people that own businesses here in the community and they give back.
Yeah.
You know, and that is such a, that people miss that often. They might not know when they, in the people that are our sponsors, Northwest Furniture and Mattress and Rock & Sons, you know, Hobby Habit. There's just a ton. I'm probably missing, you know, Loveland. You know, we do all of those sponsors. We love them being a part of our stuff because Valley Insurance. We love them being a part of our stuff because those are also the folks that they're sponsoring the baseball teams, the Little League. They're giving back. I mean, and I know. I mean, I know that that's a load. Every kid in high school, every little, I mean, they probably see him a mile away going, okay, I got to get out my checkbook, or, you know, where do I sign, you know? But that is what makes our community what it is.
It is.
Yeah. And then to the being afraid of police officers or law enforcement. It wasn't until I was in LeGrand that I actually became friends with somebody who I knew was in law enforcement. Ever before then, I was just in bigger communities, and I just didn't have that opportunity. And so I certainly had that attitude of, you know, when I would get pulled over, like, oh, I felt trapped, or I felt like somebody got me, or when, you know, I mean, I get it. But one of the advantages of us, this area, is that, yeah, these people are our friends. They are our neighbors. And that makes such a difference. They're not out to get us. They're out to, you know, just keep a lid on things, you know. And that's, I don't know, that is just such a powerful thing for our community.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you thinking? You're shaking your head.
Well,
I mean,
it's great working with the cops. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, they'll call me, or, you know, we have a good time when we're doing the events.
Right.
I mean, we're all in communication.
Right.
It's, you know.
And speaking of good times, didn't you get some, what do you call that? Cornhole boards to play? So
They say Loveland Saferide.
we need to tell people, if you're walking by the Saferide vehicles at the rodeos,
Yeah.
we're going to have a cornhole board out there, and you can try your luck with cornhole and talk to the drivers, and it's going to be a great time.
Yeah. So now, and when people do get into the rigs, they're going home. They're not going somewhere else, right? I mean, do they kind of know that it's like,
That's, you know, it depends on how busy we are. I mean, we will drop them off at other places. You know, we prefer to take them home, you know, to make our night a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
But, you know, if we're not super swamped and have 50 people waiting in line
Right.
to get in the rig, we'll run them downtown.
Yeah,
I mean, it's,
right.
you know, we're taking care of Union. That way they can get some more money in their community.
Right.
I mean, we're here to, I don't want you to drive,
Right.
and sometimes it's just, a quick trip, but as Kevin said, there's no questions asked. If you want to ride home, if you're 99 or 19, as long as we get you home safe, we feel we're doing our job. I mean, it's,
Well, so is there any stories that you guys want to tell on each other? I'm sure
Nope.
Kevin, you might have or is there a funny incident that might have happened between you guys that is that you can share publicly?
Well, go ahead.
Do you remember at the end of the movie, The Hangover, when they all watched the pictures and then they destroyed them?
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're headed. We'll never look at these again. We'll never talk about these again.
that's great.
That is perfect.
Yeah,
That's a good comeback.
it never happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing I was thinking about when you were talking was the sacredity of volunteers. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that they just don't understand that, especially if they're in a paid position, and you get this. If you're in a paid position and you have paid staff, but if you have people that are volunteering for you,
Yes.
you don't, you can't pay them for what they're doing as a volunteer, not necessarily, and so then they become one of the most sacred things in the operation.
That is correct.
Yeah,
That
and
is correct.
yeah, when I've been in those things and I've had paid staff that were hard on volunteers, is that was a come to Jesus moment for
Yes.
them, because
Yes.
it was you don't understand. That volunteer might be, I can hire other people to do what you're doing, but you can't hire volunteers.
Yeah, but I think Loveland Saferide's in a kind of a different situation because they got people that want to drive. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's such a sought after position, even as a volunteer, that they don't have to worry about that.
Well, and while we're talking about that, if you ever truly want to understand what happens inside the Loveland Saferide rig, just don't drink. And then catch a ride home at about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then you will truly understand what our drivers have to put up with. And I do say put up with because there's language, there's insults, and it's because people are drinking and they just say whatever the heck
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
And so, but what I do want to say is before you get too intoxicated or start indulging in your night, put a little bit of money in one pocket. Just a little bit, just to tip your driver if you think your driver has put in a long night, because our rides are free, but our drivers do appreciate a little bit extra, and we're just talking a few dollars, but it all adds up at the end of the night, and it helps because these guys do have their challenges. Jerry has broke up fights between husband and wife. He's broke up fights between guys together, girls together, and he's even helped out the state police when they were just about to arrest somebody, and Jerry stepped in and just said, "Hey, if I take him right now, will you let him go?"
Yeah.
And they're just like, "Absolutely, but he's got to get in your vehicle right now." And Jerry swept him in his vehicle, and you took him clear to Tollgate, and that was out of Elgin. And we're truly there. All we care about is getting people home safe. We might offend somebody, telling them to put their seatbelt on, or telling them they can't smoke a cigarette in the vehicle, or telling them they can't drink that beer that they smuggled in their pocket. And people do get a little angry, especially when they've been drinking. But the sole purpose is for the safe ride, and as long as everybody understands that, we will continue to just thrive. And it's like I said, it's unreal the communication that we have with the police officers. Mm-hmm. Speed dial. And sometimes we get really busy and things get chaotic. And I know Jerry's had to call in a little support from the police officers before when things get out of hand in the vehicle. And so just thank you, everybody, for understanding our rules. And when you get in the vehicle, put your seatbelt on and don't wait to be asked to do it. That's our rule. The seatbelt has to be on, and we just appreciate everybody using our service and not becoming a client of his or a client of ours.
right?
That's a really good
Yeah,
way of putting it.
it is.
Yeah.
The most annoying thing when I rode along with them was the music requests. Oh my God, just shut up, sit back there, talk with each other. Like, I mean, we even had a husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend fight, this, that, you know. But the music requests were just out of control. It's like, dude, you're going like 7 miles. Be quiet. That's one song.
Yeah, this is a free ride.
Yeah.
This is
No,
not an
we're not
Uber.
listening to
yeah,
Blue
you're not
Dabba Dee
paying.
Dabba Da.
Yeah, I used to, yeah, with my kids, and they would complain about the music. It's like, I'm driving, I'm God, little G of the car right
Yes,
now.
yes.
Yeah, I get to decide the music. Yeah,
You pay for it.
that's right. Yeah, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So let's go back to Cody for just a minute. I think a lot of people might not understand that an officer arresting somebody in an incident is the beginning of a very long. I mean, talk about that for just. And I know that because, you know, my son-in-law Kyle works for you, and so, I mean, maybe help people understand, you know, what's involved after that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you not to mention the sheer humility that comes along with it, the embarrassment of, you know, you've embarrassed yourself, you've embarrassed your family. Let's just say that it's just a DUI and you don't crash, you don't kill somebody, you don't kill somebody else. Just the citation and the arrest itself, just the portion of the consequences of the cost of it. You know, he talks about the tip jar, you know, $20 in the pickle jar at Jerry's dashboard compared to the thousands of dollars, $10,000 in attorney fees if you choose to fight this, you know, just the bare loan. You're going to lose your license, you're going to lose your concealed handgun license permit, you're possibly lose your job if CDL, you're going to lose your CDL. And then you know, your name's broadcasted everywhere, you're talked about around in the kitchen at work, you know, I mean, the amount of stuff that comes with it and years down the road, it's so not worth it. And I think that's a lot of the reason why, you know, when there's a different option for someone to do, they recognize that before. And if they can think about it when they're sober, if they can put that number in their phone on the way out to the rodeo, just in case, have it on their phone just so they can make that phone call instead of, I'm okay, I only had a couple every hour, so I can drive. No, because I tell you what, it's not always the intoxicated person or the person that's had a couple beers, but things happen, and there could be somebody else that runs that stop sign. There could be that child that runs out in front of you that, you know, it's something that's not even your fault, and the next thing you know, you're going to jail because you're impaired.
Yeah.
So, and that's not just drinking, that's prescription medications, that's marijuana. We see a lot of vape pens, you know, that's, I mean, socially acceptable now, and marijuana's legal obviously in Oregon, but it's a sense of impairment. And I promise you, you do not drive better after you've had a couple. I don't care what your buddy says. I drive slower, I pay more attention, and let me hit that pipe one more time. No, that's not the case. It impairs your reflexes.
Yeah.
Impairs your ability to make a good decision and when you need to be, you know, clear-headed.
So we've all been at a place where we were maybe impaired or close to being. How do you know? I mean, certainly if you're in an event and you've been drinking all day, you know, or all night, but let's just say you go to bench warmers and you've had a couple or whatever. I mean, how do you know? I've been in that situation. It's like, well, I think I'm fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I can tell you, in my experience, you know, people say, oh, 2 beers. 2 beers. 2 beers.
I had 19.
I had 2. 2 an hour all day.
They were 44 ounces.
But there was this impression that, you know, when the .08 came out, as long as I can keep it under a .08, I'm not going to get a DUI. Well, that's not the case. You know, we've arrested people and given them DUIs with, you know, a .02 or a .01 or a 0% blood alcohol level if there's some other factors on board. You know,
good.
Cold medicine and a Coors Light. You know, that combined, you know, you've got quite a level of impairment there. Each individual person, you know, as an adult, you need to recognize what you're being responsible for. A lot of people that I know that after they've had 2 beers, literally real 2 beers, you know, whether it's in the can or in the draft, whatever that is, you know, they don't drive. That's it. You know, 2 beers all day long, that's fine. Yeah, I'm okay. You know, me myself, I can tell when I've had too much to drink or when I'm feeling impaired. And if I'm even close to that, I don't risk it. It's just flat not worth it.
Yeah. How long does it take you? If like okay, I'm impaired, I'm not going to drink for the next. I mean, do you even? and maybe that's too personal of a question. You know, how long does it take you to feel like you would be capable of driving?
My wife's at home watching right now. She's like, "Oh, honey, please be careful with these."
Yeah.
It's pretty simple the next day.
Yeah.
I can actually tell you, as his friend, he would never drive after
Right,
drinking.
but I guess I'm just talking generally, and I'm not meaning to pin you down.
Sure.
So it's like, you know, I mean, if somebody's like, okay, I'm just going to sit here for the next 2 hours and not drink anything.
Yeah.
It's
They're
different
still
for every
probably-
person.
Each person's metabolism metastasizes alcohol at a different pace.
And
at a
you
different
said
level.
the next day.
Yeah,
was
that would be a good rule to follow.
Yeah.
I would tell you in my
put a sleep in
profession-
between it. That's
Yeah.
what I say.
In my profession, especially being an elected official, you know, I'm technically on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a
Right,
week. You know,
yeah.
I can check away from that and, you know, put the gun away, put the badge away, and enjoy and have a good time with some friends. But I never know when that phone call is going to come. You know, being the sheriff, the chief law enforcement officer, you know, there could be a call that comes in at any time. So for me, if I've had a night where I've been drinking or something, you know, I won't respond until the next day, until I'm, you know, completely 100% out of my system, because it's just not. There's no chance that there's no way that I would want to take that chance to have alcohol in my system and responding somewhere, especially if I was driving code or going somewhere to help out in a situation, and having any type of impairment at all would you know, detrimental, not only internally but, you know, outside in the world. It's I can't tell you. All I know is that it's different for each person, and I would encourage everyone to err on the side of caution. And especially with this service that these guys provide, there is no excuse, no reason in the world. You know, we talk about the costs and the consequences, and
Average DUI in Oregon, first DUI costs $5,000.
yeah,
That's if you don't fight it.
if you don't fight it, that's
No,
just
that
your
includes
fines.
$3,000 for legal fees. I just looked it up.
Okay.
It's right around $5,000 for the first DUI. That's a lot of money.
That is.
Yeah.
I say, if you even question in your head, should I drive or not? Don't get behind the wheel.
I agree.
It's that
Yeah,
simple.
absolutely.
It's like,
I agree,
if you're even questioning it, you're like, yeah, you probably had too much. You know what I mean? Like, there's no. But then again, you have your inhibitions gone when you're drinking, so it's really hard to. So it's always good to like have a part, like somebody that's, you know, saying, hey, don't do that. Like, you're an idiot. Like,
Well, everybody just needs to have Jerry Hopkins as their best friend, like I do, and it works out great. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and back to the volunteers real quick. I guess the drivers, every volunteer, everybody does something for a particular reason.
Yes.
I mean, if they're being paid, you know, maybe they're getting paid a lot of money and they're doing it just for the money. Then there are other people that do it because they love the job and they're getting some money. Volunteers volunteer because there's something in that for them. There's something in it, checks the box for them. But every volunteer can be so regulated or so scheduled that it takes the joy out of it, and they're like, yeah, it's not worth the hassle anymore.
You know, I probably got 10, 15 people that want to drive here
Right.
in Union County.
Right.
And
At
every time-
least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're all in our driving program right now. And they all call me, hey, do I get to drive this event? Do I get to
Right.
drive this event? It's fun. You know, the hours that me and my guys and your office staff, Pam, and everyone puts into this,
Yeah.
you'd be surprised on how many hours it takes to get ready for a rodeo or a beer festival, or how many
Right.
phone calls that me and Kevin have to have.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of time involved in every event.
I bet we talked 10 times yesterday, just sorting things out for this
it's
weekend.
From Pam making the flyers to and going to get candy for the parade tomorrow. I mean, it's just not one person.
Right.
We've surrounded ourselves with great people to make us look good.
Yes, we do.
Well, and the volunteers
it.
is
Yep.
what mean that's just a signal of good leadership. That's the bottom line. When you have volunteers that are ready, they're willing to do that. They step up. They spend their time. You know, just all the boxes are checked for them to continue to do that. That's just good leadership.
Well,
think
Jerry has ran that program since 2001, and it's been absolutely amazing, and he is not kidding. I get phone calls all the time of people wanting to drive. He has a waiting list of people wanting to drive, and a lot of people kind of have similar stories. Like they used to drink, or they had an experience and they just want to help and give back, and it's truly amazing. Like these guys, it can be 1 o'clock in the morning and you get a ride home from them and they're like, hey, how are you guys doing? You know, they're not angry, they're not irritated. They probably are a little irritated because when you deal with drunk people all night long, it's kind of irritating. But
A little bit.
But these guys, you know, turn up the music and they let people have fun and they let them enjoy their night. And we have an amazing group of people. And Jerry has chosen them very carefully. I've thrown a couple of names at him. We've tried some people in the past, and now I've learned to just let Jerry do what he does because he knows the program.
Yeah.
And I just try to be like, oh, sure, we'll put you to work. And they're not always the best fit.
Right. Yeah.
I think that volunteer, when you focus on a volunteer, no matter what the thing that they're volunteering for, but it's something in their heart. It's something that drives it. They're not doing it for the recognition. They're not doing it for the money. Something inside of them, whether that's a past experience, whether that's a loved one, whatever that is, something inside of them drives them. Search and rescue unit, for instance, 100% volunteers. And those guys are out there in the middle of the night in the rain. They're answering the calls, and we have one of the best search and rescue units in this whole state, as far as I'm concerned. But it's all driven by volunteers. There's a couple guys in the admin end of things that work for me. Nick Vora, you've had him on here a couple times. But just being a volunteer, there's something inside of somebody that wants to give back, and you can't teach that. You can't ask somebody to do it. It has to come from them, and they step up, and there's a reason. You may never know that reason, but something in their heart is driving them to give back to the community.
Right. But that's a perfect example. But on your end, you guys have a budget for search and rescue. So then they have the stuff. Those volunteers have the stuff that they need when they arrive. I mean, there's training involved. I mean, and that's a perfect example of you do everything you can to encourage those volunteers for them to continue doing what it is that they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like these guys. It's safety. You know, you want them to have the best equipment. You want them to have nice vehicles that are safe to get these people home, to get them home at the end of the night. Same thing with search and rescue. You want to have them. They're out saving lives, just like these guys are. You want them to have the best equipment so they can be safe to get there, to do the job, to come back home.
Yep.
And speaking of the vehicles, I definitely want to put a shout out. I know Jerry's mentioned it, but like Goss Motors, Legacy Ford, Legacy Dodge, and the other guys, Jerry simply picks up the phone and calls them, and they just say whatever you need. And normally we're picking up a vehicle with a full tank of gas. And a lot of the times we're dropping it off empty, and they don't ever complain. And the reason why we're dropping it off empty is we've already filled that thing up several times throughout the weekend. I mean, this program is not cheap to put on, but the dealerships never complain. We pick up their cars clean, and we bring them back completely trashed, dirty, dusty, and they never complain. And these dealerships are the ones that you need to be calling if you need a vehicle.
Yes.
You absolutely have to find one out of town. Make sure you shop there first to make sure they don't have it or they can't get it. And then if it's something that they can't get, go somewhere else. But these guys are amazing. Our local auto dealers have done nothing but help our program.
Yeah. Good. All right. What'd you say, Gabe? I missed it.
You said we lost Kevin's mic.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Well,
That could be a good thing.
no.
It's like time. Oh, when he was talking about the ride-alongs, I've been on a ride-along with Jerry, Beeve. I've been on a ride-along with Cody, but I ain't never going on a ride-along with him. You know?
Well, don't say that.
Well, eventually.
You won't remember it.
Eventually, I won't even know I'm there. But I'm not going on a ride-along with him. No, not happening. I'm not that. That just freaks me out. Man. Like
Well-
the whole, no.
Thank you guys so much, and thanks, Kevin, for doing this and
Yeah,
pushing
it's
this
awesome.
forward.
Awesome program.
Yeah, we got your mic working again, so.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're very welcome.
Yeah, and they could hear you.
Oh, they could.
They
Okay,
could hear
good.
you. It just was a little echoey.
Sounded like your commercial.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We were just mimicking
Yeah.
it so you can
That was done with a cell phone, and next time I'm calling you guys.
You better
Yeah.
call it, yeah.
I definitely realized if I'm going to take it to that level of acting. By the way, I will be signing autographs at the rodeo.
Yeah,
If the clown doesn't make it, are you going to be out there in the middle of the arena?
see. Oh, goodness.
yeah. And I mean, we love supporting these things. I love supporting these. I mean, I ran unsuccessfully for commissioner, but one of the things I listed was the things that over the years EOA Live and Tanya and I have given our money
Yes.
and our efforts to. And Loveland Saferide was one of those things, just in this manner, because
Yes.
it's something that makes a difference. Again, that is our way of supporting the volunteers to continue doing what it is that they need to do.
Thank you.
And we do. We really thank you for letting us go, because I remember years ago one of my really good friends walked right, and it was our good friend, walked right in between the two Loveland Saferide vehicles, and then he got a DUI on the way home. And the first phone call he made, other than getting the ride home out of jail, was to me saying, I should have taken that ride.
Yeah.
And without the awareness, without you bringing us on this show, and just telling people, please take that ride. If we can't get the word out that we're going to be there, then it's going to be unsuccessful. So I want to thank you. You've had us on several times. You promote our program, and I want to thank all of you guys.
Yeah.
Because it means a lot to me that people are taking this as serious as we are.
Yes, thank you. And I want to say that you sponsor the Keeping It Clear with Cody, Loveland Safe Ride. Yeah. And people often, they might not understand that the content that we bring to you comes because businesses step up and sponsor stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's a give back situation.
It really
I
is.
mean, you and I have been doing business for a long time.
Yes, we have.
Because we've been streaming funerals and stuff. I mean, that's how we got into the streaming game, was figuring out how to stream services, and we still do that. I mean, I think we've got a couple. We've been busy recently, yeah. And so, but that part of the business, which is kind of hidden, then supports this side of the
Yes, it
business
does.
that is very visible. And we can't do it. I mean, we just can't do it without, people like you. So that circle is it's critical to what we do, but it's critical to keeping our community alive. The people that give back and sponsor baseball and whatever. And that's, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the economic development that happens when people from the outside they'll come in and they'll build a hotel, or they'll build whatever it might be. All of those things are the things that we need in order for our lives to continue to be comfortable here in Eastern Oregon. But what really makes the wheels go around in Union County and Eastern Oregon are the mom and pop shops that hire folks, that pay them, that advertise locally, that contribute. That's what makes our little world go around.
And I want to do just a quick commercial for you, because I'm sure that you have heard that the Observer and all of the small local newspapers are completely closing in July.
Yeah, they're combining into one.
Yeah, they're combining into one and going online.
And
But it's all digital.
And it's going to be the East Oregonian. Yep. You are going to get busy if people believe and understand in your business. And I can tell you, I have been sponsoring on your program, and I have had hundreds of people throughout the years tell me, thank you for sponsoring Cody's show, and when we were sponsoring the sporting events. And because the newspapers, our local newspapers are closing, I would give these guys a call and get your sponsorship set up and start getting your foot in the door, because you're going to get busy, and there's probably not going to be room for other people to get in on your show. And we've been there for years, and I'm not giving up my spot for anybody. Yeah.
Hey, thank you for that plug. We really appreciate it.
You bet.
And I thank you guys, every one of you, for what it is that you're doing. Yeah, and just real quick, so here's the information that you might need for Loveland Safe Ride. There's the number that you can call, and
the times that they're available for the next 3 nights.
Yep. So, and then any other major event that you can think of in the future, they also will be at thank you guys for doing this.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And be sure and pass on to the volunteers that are on the ground. Maybe they're getting tips, but that's really the tip of the spear. It really is.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. You want to get us out of
On
here?
this day, June 6th, 1835, James Gordon Bennett Sr. publishes the first issue of the New York Herald. It cost 1 penny. 1 penny. That was probably a lot of money back then. 1840, the world's first adhesive postage stamp, the penny black, is first used in Great Britain. 1937, the German airship Hindenburg explodes in flames in Lakehurst, New Jersey, killing 35 of the 97 on board and 1 person on the ground. 1944, the D-Day operation of June 6, 1944 brought together the land, air, and sea forces of the Allied armies in what became known as the largest amphibious invasion in military history. Today marks the 80-year anniversary. Here's a couple little facts about D-Day. Britain was not alone. In addition to those from the UK, D-Day forces included sailors and soldiers and airmen from the USA, Canada, Australia, Belgium, Czechoslovakia, France, Greece, Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, and a few others. The D-Day invasion was actually planned for the 5th of June. However, in true British fashion, the weather was too bad for the ships to sail, so it was postponed until the next day. The landing wasn't the first step, believe it or not. There was air attacks that happened before that, so it wasn't just the landing there that was. It was preceded by some ships dropping some bombs, I guess. 2023 on this day, the coronation of King Charles III and Queen Camilla at Westminster Abbey, London. It was the first monarch crowned in the UK in 70 years. She was queen for 70
I know.
years?
Crazy.
What, was she like 5 when she got it?
She was in her 20s.
She was young,
early.
yeah. Because she was in her 90s when she died.
Yeah.
Number 1 song in America on this day in 2004. This is probably, Cody probably has this song playing in his truck right now. The Reason by Hoobastank. He knows it. I mean, this is right up Cody's alley for sure. The quote of the day comes from Neil Donald Walsh. And life begins at the end of your comfort zone. One more time. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. That's all I got.
Yeah. Awesome. My college professor was he wasn't in D-Day, but he was in the Battle of the Bulge. He was part of the troop that landed very shortly after that. And
I don't know a lot about World
Yeah,
War II. I'm not a big history dude.
yeah, it's a monumental event. And if you happen to have the honor of still knowing someone who is alive, please take a moment and thank them.
They'd have to be like almost 100
Yes.
to be
Yep.
alive still. World War II guys, I mean, if you were 18 when D-Day happened, you'd be 98 today.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So there's not many of them alive.
There's a handful,
Yeah.
but not a lot.
And it was, a lot of people know that D-Day was the beginning of the end. I mean, the war went on for, I think, 11 months more before Germany finally surrendered. So, hey, thank you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. Yeah.
Don't forget, call Loveland Saferide
Yep.
if you've had anything to drink. It's not hard. And nobody judges. That's the best part. Like, it ain't like Beef's pulling up like, look at this degenerate. No, he's like, yeah, let's go. Like, turn up the music. Let's go.
All right.
It's the popular thing now. It's the cool thing.
Yeah.
If
I
you
mean,
want to be cool after the rodeo when the show's done,
hey, having
go.
having to go get your car the next day is a lot better than paying for a DUI or killing somebody or killing yourself.
Yeah.
mean, it's
absolutely.
that simple.
Call me. I will give you a ride back out to Union in the front seat.
Oh.
In the front
Really?
seat.
Huh?
I'll offer that in the front seat to go pick up your vehicle.
Yeah.
Dang, if I was still a drinker, I'd be taking.
Call me.
I don't even drink. I'm calling you.
Got it. Bud Forrest says, thank you for all you're doing in the community.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys. See you soon.
Yep.